it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex and Nick. Today we're doing a special segment. We're going to start doing this every single week, stock up and stock down for an individual player of our choosing. And we got some good ones today for you. We picked an individual one a piece. And, with the roster kind of in flux right now, some injuries, there is some reason for concern regarding a few individual players. We're going to avoid the obvious ones like, the Esteban Florials of the world and the Frankie Montas of the world, because we know the stock is down. We know that they are not going to be impacting this team in a big way anytime soon or at all. So, Brian Cashman's already coughed up the Frankie Montas trade as a dud, and that's insane to me that he's publicly saying that for the first time, like actually acknowledging he made a bad move, which is a rarity for him.
Must really make Frankie feel great.
I know, right? I mean, for what it's worth, the guy was injured and he knew he was injured and didn't say anything. So I feel like Cashman feels like he doesn't owe him any explanation at this point and owe him any loyalty. So, there is that. But we're going to dive into it here, discuss. I'll have Nick, you can start with your stock up. We'll start with the good news, start with the positivity first, because we got opening day tomorrow and we're excited about it. So you guys can at least stick around for the positive ones. The negative ones, you can determine whether you want to stick around for those or not. But they are going to be some interesting conversations we do want to have and a little bit of good debate and discussion on, what we expect from some of these guys. But before we dive into it, how do you today, my friend?
I'm good. I'm doing quite well today. Only thing that I'm not doing great about is that once again, Brian Cashman is going bargain bin shopping, and we have signed Franchy Cordero to a major league contract. Our boy Ryan Garcia, I don't know if you were on that as well. I haven't watched that episode yet, but it came out earlier, so he did a little analysis on Franchy. I don't know what to think of the deal. I mean, at the end of the day, the Yankees bench is now starting to look like, it's Florial and Franchy right now are two of the guys on the bench, so that's interesting to say the least. But whatever, who cares? Maybe we'll turn him around like the Yankees did with Voit and Gio Urshela. So that'd be pretty awesome if he does. But I'm doing really well today. Like you said, tomorrow's opening day. Ryan and I are going to be doing a live stream tonight. So it's going to be a fun day of baseball talk. And I'm excited for this episode. I love this concept. When you approached me saying we should do something like this, I was 100% on board. I think this is something that's going to be really fun doing it throughout the weeks. And it'll be pretty cool to see at the end of the season who we have stock up, who we have stock down, and if some of the guys that we talked about in this episode or one next week or the one after that are completely falling off a cliff, or if we can, say we were right and pat ourselves on the back. So I'm excited to do this episode, my guy.
Me too, man. And, we'll dive into it with your first guy. So, give me your positive one, your stock up. Who is it?
So this is going to come as a shock to all listeners and followers on the page, but I'm picking Ron the Don Marinaccio. Look, it's a cop-out, sure, call it what you will, but last year, Ron showed that he has what it takes to be a major league reliever, and not just that, but has what it takes to be a top-of-the-line major league reliever. And then spring training rolled along, and I was a little bit worried at first because for the first week and a half, 2 weeks or so of spring training, the Yankees hadn't really played Ron Marinaccio, and I was like, is there something wrong? Did his shin injury get worse? Are they choosing to shut him down? And then, no. They're just playing it safe. I actually met Ron at spring training, which was fucking amazing. Got a picture with him. He signed my jersey and everything. It was a dream come true. And someone next to me asked him a question like, how you feeling? And he said he's feeling great. The shin feels good. He threw a couple of bullpen sessions when I was there as well, live on the backfields, and he looked good. And then fast forward to spring training, and the dude fired 7 1/3 innings of one-run baseball and struck out 15 guys. 3 separate occasions he struck out the side. His changeup moves like a damn forkball, a splitter, whatever you want to call it. It's not a changeup, it's a god pitch. Fastball was sitting at 95, 96 this spring, which is also awesome to see. Last year, as many of you may remember, he started off the season 93, 94 out of the gate. And then when he got sent down and then he battled an injury, he came back and was firing more bullets at 95. So I'm very excited about that 1-2 pitch combo. He pitched 44 innings last year to a 2 ERA with a 3.2 FIP as well. Struck out roughly 11 batters per 9. I think that number could jump. So I'm buying all the stock in the world on Ron Marinaccio. I mean, the guy had a 14, 15K over 9 in the minors, and in spring just posted like a 19K over 9. So if I had to be a betting man, which I am, I would bet that Ron Marinaccio could be an all-star this year. In fact, I would put money on that fact. So I'm very, very excited for Ron the Don. I think this is going to be a big season for him. I wouldn't be shocked if the Yankees do mitigate him a little bit by not pitching him as much, but I'd say a 50 to 60 inning workload this season with a sub 2 ERA and a K over 9, roughly around 12 to 13 is in store for the Don.
The Don. And yes, I actually drafted him in my fantasy team
Same here. There we go.
in honor of you because I was like, Ron, man, he's looking good. I mean, he looks really good this
Doesn't
spring,
get
dude.
the
I mean,
saves, but he's gonna get strikeouts like a motherfucker.
right. I mean, look, the strikeouts are prevalent. That is for sure. The strikeouts are prevalent. That changeup, like you said, is like a forkball. That thing moves. You cannot pick it up. If you're a batter, it looks like it's coming in like a fastball, and then that thing just takes I guess, a south turn and goes down. Not a
And his
left turn, but a
slider looked
south
good this
turn.
spring too. Like his
Yeah,
slider
yeah.
looked a lot better this spring. He was
Everything's getting
throwing it
better.
more. Like that's the thing. Like if the guy was as good as he was last year, and he's going to take that step forward and turn it up a notch this year, the future is insanely bright for Ron. I'm very
Yeah.
excited for him. And the
No,
Yankees aren't doing the
absolutely.
whole dance with him anymore, where they're
Mhm.
like sending him down because he has options. So looks like he's here to stay. Big staple in the bullpen.
I mean, he's turned into one. I mean, he's
Yeah.
certainly going to be one of the more reliable arms. And I would go as far as to say this. This may be a hot take. I don't think it is. If Clay Holmes struggles, I could see them transitioning Ron into a closing role.
Yeah. I mean, we have Wandy, we have Loizaga and King, so that's the problem. It's like, honestly, the Yankees have like 5 guys that could probably close
Insane.
games for them, but
Mhm.
Ron the Don is a sneaky closer guy. I mean, he's got that 1-2 pitch combo, and then the slider is sneakily getting
He's
better.
cold. He's ice in his
Yeah,
veins,
he
man. The
doesn't
guy
get
is
phased.
confident.
The dude could give up 3 base knocks, and he reminds me of David Robertson in the sense where it's like Houdini on the mound, where he just goes out there, doesn't care if there's anyone else on base. He's just gonna do his pitches and locate his stuff. So I don't
Mhm.
know. Very, very excited for the Don.
Yeah, me too, man. I think that he is a really exciting player for this Yankee team and one that we are very optimistic about. And if you've been watching us for a while, Nick has been a big advocate for Ramadan for a long time. He has been on this train
The
since
man.
he's the conductor of the train. He's the one shoveling the coal into the back of it to make this thing go. So he's been on top of this one for a long time. So shout out to you for calling this out for
God bless.
probably like a year now. So,
Yeah, year and a
Ron,
half have been Ryan and I were talking
yeah,
about him last year for the spring training preview, and we're like, this guy's stuff in AAA last
legit.
year is filthy. He's legit. And now look at him. Wow.
He's a monster, man. He's a monster.
Enough
But
to make a grown man cry.
yeah, that honestly, I think for you, he actually that changeup could make you cry.
Shed a tear. But who's your pick, Alex? Who you got going?
So today, I think a lot of people are going to agree with you on this one. I mean, I think if you say that Ron is not a stock up player right now, you're insane. But another one that's an easy one for all of us, I think, is Oswaldo Cabrera, right? 24 years old. He's going to be a premier super utility option for this team, and he is cranking this spring. Hit 333 with a 390 OBP and a 1.001 OPS with 18 hits, 4 homers, and 14 RBIs across 54 at bats. The switch hitting power is there. Yankee Stadium definitely is a good place for him to, extrapolate on that power hitting from the left side of the plate. And I think that he is just talented across the board, right? He is capable of playing infield, outfield, and he is an energizer bunny. He's a great guy in the locker room. He does everything for you on and off the field, the tangible traits, the intangible traits. I remember last year we were talking, I remember before they called up Oswaldo Cabrera, and we were like, we need a spark plug. This team needs someone to spark them because the second half of the season was really dull and really kind of quiet and slow. And
August especially.
August especially. And the second that dude got called up and he made that insane grab right over the right field's wall and his like first game, and he's like, yeah, he's like going
Oh,
crazy.
so hype. One of the
That
coolest photos of
energy,
the year.
by far, that energy that he brought changed everything for the
Yeah.
team. And meanwhile, while we struggled in our own right because some players weren't able to, pick things up for whatever reason, injury and whatnot, he brought a level of confidence and spark to this team that we didn't have before. And now we have him in an everyday role. He is going to play a big part on this team. His offense has gotten better. His pitch selection has gotten better. And it's obvious he's not just waiting for those hanging breaking balls anymore. He's taking pitches. He's able to see the ball a little bit better. He's slapping with more contact capabilities. His defense is equally as impressive as it was last year. And he's worked diligently to improve in multiple spots. This
And
is a
center
player
field
who's
now, dude. He plays center
right,
field now.
and he has center field capability. So when you're looking at him, I would say that he's turning into a player that I actually can't put like a monetary value on because you can't really put a value on a player that can play this many spots. And if his offense keeps improving and getting better, Aaron Hicks is going to get left in the dust. And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what may end up happening here if he continues to dominate during spring training, or rather into the regular season.
Yeah, no, absolutely, you're 100% right, dude. And the thing I love, I did a piece on Oswaldo this morning for Empire Sports Media. Remember, everyone that's watching Empire Sports Media, all your Yankee content, go check that out. We got articles every day out the ass. So many pieces of content are coming out. But I talked about this last year. Oswaldo played in 44 games and accumulated 1.5 F WAR, mainly because his defense was spectacular. He had 13 defensive runs saved across like 6 positions he played, but he posted a 1.5 F WAR in 44 games. IKF posted a 1.5 F WAR in 142 games. So he is so valuable because he plays every position and he plays them all really well, to the point where, like I said, they put him in center field in spring and they played him at first base in spring. So basically, Oswaldo now can play every position except for catcher. So I would not be shocked. I talked about this in the article. If Oswaldo plays every position but catcher at least once this season, and I think that would be badass if they do it. And it wouldn't be a liability wherever you put him either. Like he could have a 4 WAR season with a 115, 120 WRC plus. Like last year, I'm sure you remember this. He started off like 1 for 26 when he came up, and he finished the year with a 110 WRC plus. Like the dude is a good hitter, and he works counts, he works walks. Like you said, he's got much better plate discipline and pitch selection now. This spring, he was slapping around fastballs on the hands for doubles and gap shots. I mean, he also hit a home run from the right side as well this spring. So I don't know. I love that pick. I think Oswaldo is going to be a huge, huge piece on this team this season.
Yes, he absolutely is. So let's take a little bit of a left turn into a more negative sequence and segment of this episode. And looking at the stock down of two players. So, Nick, I know yours is Luis Severino. And
Yes.
this is a really interesting one, right? And I want to preface by saying that by no means do we think these players aren't going to make a big
Oh, no,
impact,
no, 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 no.
but more so the short-term consequence of the injuries are driving their stock down. As I said, we're going to be doing this every week, right? We're going to do a stock up, stock down on a
It'll
weekly
update.
basis. So these things will change on a weekly basis. But for right now, this just gives you some information into what's happening, what's going on, timetables for injury recoveries, and what we're expecting upon return. And maybe some issues they were having before the injuries. And we'll kind of led up to this. But, give me some information on Luis Severino, what you're thinking about in terms of his return, his comeback eventually, and, why you think that it might be a little bit of a struggle for him.
Like, look, Severino is very talented. He's been one of the most talented pitchers this Yankees organization has had since he's come up to the organization. I want to say 2016, and then 2017 he was a Cy Young candidate. Maybe 2018 he was a Cy Young candidate. I want to preface that it was both years actually. That's right, both years he was a Cy Young candidate, and since then it has been nothing but a rough road for Severino. Now, when he pitches, he's really good. I'm not saying he's not, but the problem is that he's not the most reliable guy in the rotation. And this season, the Yankees need reliability, and availability at the end of the day is the best ability. No matter how good you are as a 5-tool player or as an elite shutdown ace, if you're not out there, you're not going to accumulate any value or actually benefit the team. And the reason I have Severino as stock down is because he has a right lat strain as his injury. And that's been something that has kind of plagued him a little bit in the past. And it is something I do worry may linger a little bit longer than we think. Like Severino, we've gotten updates on Rodon so far. We've gotten updates on Canely and Trevino. Granted, not great ones, but Rodon's update was awesome. He's going to probably come back in the next week or two, which is great. But we haven't heard anything positive on Severino just yet. I don't even believe he started throwing again. I could be mistaken on that. And if someone's heard something in the comments, please let me know. But Severino, I do worry that we may not see him until May. And if that's the case, that's already a month of baseball lost for him. And then you know how it is with him when the season goes on and he accumulates innings on that arm. The Yankees will likely start to kind of tamper him back a bit. He may get shut down for a week or two here and there just so they could try to preserve him for October. Now, when he pitches, he is very good. I'm not saying he's not. Last year in 102 innings, he struck out almost 10 batters per nine, walked 2.65, and posted a 3.18 ERA. Great numbers. I'm not saying they're not. The problem is that Severino last year was kind of, I'd say, the number 2 guy going into the season, maybe the number 3. And then Nestor Cortez just exploded, and the Yankees had a 1-2 combo of he and Garrett Cole. This is a contract year for Severino. So his stock should not be going down to start the year, but here we are. So I want the best for him. I do think he'll play a big part in this team. It just remains to be seen when he'll first make his debut this season. So that's why I have him on the downslope.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, look, Luis Severino's been very injury prone.
Since
Basically,
2019.
yeah, the last 3 years. So I'm not surprised that there's caution. I'm not surprised you chose him because it's a reasonable selection. It is historically proven to be the right selection. In terms of when he is suffering through injury, it's concerning. And, the lat injury kept him out he put him on the 60-day IL last year. Now, it was a different part of his body. It wasn't the same exact injury as last year, but we know those things can be problematic. So, and especially with guys who have suffered injuries in the past and seem to be injury prone. Now, he's going to come back in April. I think that he'll make his return. His slider was working its way back up. It looked a lot better toward his final start or two in spring training, but he got batted around a lot. He was not good in spring
Lots
training.
of home runs given up, I said.
He was bad. He was just overall bad, but this is what he does. Like, he sucks in spring training and then he picks it up in the regular season. So I'm not going to put too much weight into it, but it's going to take him a start or two to get his sea legs under him, obviously, once he does make that return. So I get why he's a stock down for you now. And for right now, it's a reasonable selection, but we do not anticipate it being for very long. We will have him as a stock up probably within the next month or so on this segment. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll probably see a quick turnaround on that one.
That's Sevy in a nutshell.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of another injury-prone guy that will probably have a stock up in the near future is Harrison Bader. That's my stock down right now because he's also kind of dealing with an oblique, that left oblique strain. It wasn't that bad. It was like a low-grade strain, but it did throw him onto the injured list, or rather kind of just kept him out for a couple of weeks. He's working his way back. There hasn't been much information regarding his recovery. When it comes to Bader, you need to give him time. Yeah. Like, you cannot rush back. Well, you don't want to rush back injuries at all when it comes to spring training. But you don't want to be premature when it comes to Harrison Bader because he gets injured a lot. And this is a player who we cannot expect to play a full season. He's already not going to play the full season. We're lucky if we get 100 games out of him, I think. I think we're lucky if we get 100 games.
I'd say 120. I'm a little bit more optimistic, but
I would love that. 120 games would be great for the Yankees. I personally think we're going to hover around 100. The only thing I care about is that he plays the last month of the season and then the postseason. Yeah, that's all I care about. If he misses 20 games in freaking June or July, I don't give a crap. That's totally fine. Like, a lot of players miss time. It is what it is, especially when it comes to guys that are injury prone historically, like Harrison Bader. So if he misses a couple games in the middle of the season, it is what it is. But if he's healthy for September and we go into October, he's ready to go and he's hitting and he's playing great defense. That's what's most important, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if they Phantom IL'd him in like late August and just got him ready for like early September. Yeah. And then suddenly he's back in flow. He's healthy. He's feeling good. Got to be careful with plantar fasciitis. I've had that before. It sucks. Awful injury to go through. It really hurts. So got to be careful on that end as well. But Harrison Bader, injury prone player, stock down right now because of it. But again, like I said, could change rather quickly. And I think he's going to be on his way back up probably the next couple of weeks when he does return. The second he makes that sick diving catch in center field, we're going to be like, yep, that's why we got him. I now remember why he's valuable.
No, absolutely. And the only thing I do worry, I kind of to echo your point, is that Harrison Bader hasn't played 140 games in his entire MLB career, dating back to 2018, which was his first full season. He played 138, 19, 128, 2020. He played 50, which actually, considering it was a 60-game season, was his most games played per season. And then 2021, he played 103, and last year it was 86 due to that plantar fasciitis. So it isn't a dog on Harrison Bader, even though he is a dog. It's just more like it's just the kind of reality of the situation. If Bader plays 120 games this year, he will be a 4-WAR player because he is so good defensively, very good on the base pads, doesn't swing and miss a ton. He's knocked down his strikeout percentage a lot at the at the dismay of him not walking at all really either. But the other thing we got to remember is last season, he was healthy at the end, and he was the only guy that produced in October really offensively. It was like he and Anthony Rizzo were the offense in October. So having him healthy is a key thing for the Yankees this season. Same with Severino. Honestly, I'd say that these two guys are kind of comparable in terms of their roles on the team. They're just Severino's like the pitching version of Bader, and Bader's like the hitting version of Severino. Like when they're in the team or when they're in the lineup or in the rotation, they're going to be solid players all around. They're going to be very contributive. They're going to have a big piece to play in this puzzle. But when they're not there, you feel their absence very heavily. And the Yankees now need Severino more than ever as the season rolls along because they already have some injuries on that side. So I don't know, man. I think that these were good picks all around. The positives are the positives. The negatives are the negatives. What are you going to do about it? But we're not ragging on these guys either. So hopefully people that watch this episode understand we're not trying to be like, oh, yeah, these guys suck. That's why their stock's down. it's solely because these guys aren't going to be on the opening day roster. And that's not a great thing to have when the season kicks off.
No, it certainly is not. But guys, I'd love to hear your opinions on this matter. Stock up, stock down. Feel free to pick your own players and drop them in the YouTube comments. We always appreciate that very much. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe. We are one day away. We're actually less than 24 hours away now from opening day. We are hyped, and we got you covered on every single channel. If you want to watch the highlights, if you want to watch our takeaways, want to watch our analysis, we will be posting it across the board. Any big moments, anything that you need to see will be on our channels when we have the post-game recap, of course, as always, on the YouTube and via Spotify and Apple. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy tonight's rest. We got a big one tomorrow, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.